what's your journey been to get to where you are today at Manchester City in England?
I mean, as long as I can remember, I've always played football, always loved football. I used to just, whenever my family used to go on walks, there'd always be a ball that they'd just kick in front of me and I'd go trotting along after it. And I'm led to believe that that was the only way they could persuade me to go on walks and move anywhere, was if they took a ball. So as long as I know, I've played it, and I always used to play with the boys in the playground, and then eventually joined my local boys team, who I played with until I was 15, I think it was, and then eventually I moved to the academy system at City, and then the following year moved up to the first team. So it all happened really quickly, from being at home in Sheffield to then coming over to Manchester, and then within a year I'd sort of moved my whole life over here and had come to college here as well. So it all happened so fast, and sometimes I don't even think I've really taken it in even now, but it was crazy. But it was a dream come true, because being a City fan, being able to come over and play for City was just incredible.
And what were the main differences from the step up from the academy and then to the first team setup? What would you see the main differences were?
I think a big one's probably the obvious standard of players, like the intensity. I'd moved up to a team full of senior England internationals, people who'd played in World Cups, and I think the standard of play was obviously a huge step up, but then again, also the professionalism and people's mindset. There was obviously a lot greater dedication required to play at that level, so I think that was something that my eyes were open to, was the sort of hard work and professionalism that people in the first team had, and the dedication that they showed every single day to their sport, as it was their job to sort of be better and be the best that they could be.
And in terms of that high performance environment you're in, how would you describe high performance? What does it mean to you?
I think to me, high performance is probably setting out high goals, setting the highest standards of yourself, and then working step by step to achieve them. I think it's sort of living out your dream, but putting the work in to achieve those. And I think high performance to me is sort of setting your highest standards, and then incrementally each and every day looking at yourself, reflecting on yourself, how can you get to where you want to be. And I think the best way is just to keep finding little areas to improve on and working at them every single day, and just trying to find small little progressions that eventually add up to make big differences. It's sort of that Dave Brailsford mindset of marginal gains, every 1% adds up and makes you a better person. And I think in terms of football anyway, there's so many things you can always improve on. I think it's high performance is never being satisfied with what you've got and always striving to be better and achieve more.
Because that's something we're trying to push here at Stop Put Down, is that be the best version of yourself and be the best you possibly can be. So that really resonates with us, really.
Yeah, I think that's massive, is just making the most of the resources you've got, because not everyone has the same opportunities. But I think if you can make the best of everything that you have and work your hardest with what you've got, then that's all you can do. You can only achieve your own potential. So I think, that's massive.
Yeah. And in terms of yourself and the rest of the players at City, what sort of behaviours do they display, like day in, day out, to get that high performance level?
I think the biggest thing, and obviously it's said so many times in every interview you might hear about this sort of thing, but it is hard work, and it's the dedication to, from the moment people get up in the morning till they go to bed at night, is dedicating themselves to their craft, which in our case is football. So it's eating right, paying attention in training, doing extras after training, working hard in the gym, pushing yourself, and then doing all those little things that add up to make you prepared for the game at the weekend, and gradually over time obviously improve as a player. But I think being part of a team sport as well, there's so many sort of behaviours that go into that, like togetherness and social support for each other to try and bring the best out of each other, and obviously challenging other people within the team to be better and trying to improve others, because being a young player myself, there's so much I can learn from the older players, and they're really supportive in trying to help me do that. So there's also a lot of sort of leaning on the people around you and drawing information and help out of them.
And in terms of learning from the more experienced pros around you, what sort of things do you do to go and seek that information?
A lot of the time I just tend to sort of observe and watch and then try and piece together in my head and make mental notes or sometimes even physical notes of things that I think they do better that I can sort of draw into my own game. But there's definitely been times where either within games or after games I've spoken to more experienced players about certain situations that might have cropped up and asked them how they deal with them or how they've dealt with them in the past, and they've been able to help me in that sense. But I think experienced players are desperate to help the next generation, and if we're staying on after training and doing a little bit extra, they're always so enthusiastic about wanting to help out and wanting to do more to help people who are coming through and trying to eventually take their place.
I guess it's that sense of team, isn't it? Because you're all there for that same purpose. So if they're helping you out, they're helping the club out, aren't they? I guess in a way.
Exactly. Like if I'm getting better, then I'm pushing them to be better because I'm coming after their place. So it is that sort of mindset of like we're all helping each other by wanting each other to be better, and I think that's massive in a team. You've all got to have each other's backs and want the best for each other in order to achieve the goals that we all want to, which is to win trophies and things like that.
Esme, talk me through what was going through your head on your debut for City.
Usually people would say they were nervous, but I don't actually tend to get nervous with football. I think I was just really giddy and excited. I was probably just beaming from ear to ear all morning before the game, but I remember just being so giddy to sort of get the opportunity and play in a City shirt which had my own name and number on the back, and because I'd grown up obviously getting shirts for my birthday that had my favourite player's name on the back, like Wright Phillips or Tevez or something like that, and then to be able to walk into the change room and see a City shirt with Morgan on the back was just incredible, and I was just really proud to be able to do it in front of my parents as well, who are massive City fans. So yeah, it was a really special day, but I just remember being so excited.
And obviously you've had highs and lows again in your journey, probably from when you first started playing football. How have you managed those?
I think generally I've been reasonably lucky that a lot of the time when I look back, I can't think of any major setbacks or lows that I've had. One is probably the first year I came to trial for City's academy, I didn't get in, which at the time was a massive disappointment for me because all I wanted to do was play for City. So I went back to Sheffield and just forgot about it for a year really, and then went back the next year and eventually got in. But I think nowadays, say I have a bad performance or we lose, a lot of what I do is sort of just reflect on what went wrong, what I could have done better, and then try and learn from it. And I think that's probably the best thing to do when things don't go well, is to try and pick out the things that went right, but also then learn from the bits that didn't go so well, and then try to put them into practice in training and move on fairly quickly. But I think being able to lean on teammates, as I've said before, been in those situations and have lost much bigger games than the ones I'm losing at the minute, I think being able to sort of lean on them for support is also a massive thing.
And then when you got that setback of not making it in the first trial, then you went back a year later, what was your mindset when you were going on back on that second trial that year later? What were you thinking?
I think it was probably a case of just wanting to prove that I was a better player than I was when I left the year before, and just wanting to prove that I was good enough to be there. Because I think when I didn't get in, my dad had contacted the coaches and sort of said on my behalf, was there anything I could look to do better in future? So I sort of spent the year away trying to work on those things, and so I went back with a lot of confidence that I was better than I was the year before and that I could be good enough to go in. But it was a bit strange really, because when I played for the boys, I played as more of a forward player, but then when I got to the trial, we were all split into like teams of 7, and they sort of said like, just sort yourself into a team, and my whole team were all strikers. So I was like, right, I'm just going to go as a defender, and I've not played as a forward since. I've been a defender since that trial, so that one split second putting my hand up to volunteer has cost me my career as a striker.
And then obviously you're still at the really beginning of your exciting journey to go, but to date, what out of all your accomplishments so far, what are you most proud of and why?
I think there's obviously so many moments that stand out, like you say, making my debut for City. supported, and playing for England at youth level. And I think that's probably one of the biggest ones that stands out to me, is going to the under-20s World Cup and winning a bronze medal there, because I look back now and that was the happiest I think I've ever been. To be part of that squad, we were so together and united as a squad, and we all just got on so well. It was just an amazing positive atmosphere to be around. So to spend the month away and then at the end of it get a medal, which we were punching far above our weight really, was really special. And I didn't actually play a single minute in the tournament, but just being part of the team and contribute by supporting those who were playing was just an amazing feeling.
So about role models, you've probably got a few, but who are your role models and why?
I'm probably lucky to be able to say that I play with quite a few of them now. People like Steph Horton, I sort of looked to as soon as I was aware of women's football. She was always the face of English football, and I think I'm very lucky to be able to play alongside and learn from her now. Similarly with players like Jill Scott and Karen Bardsley. I think I looked up to them a lot in the past when I was sort of coming through and growing up, but now I sort of look at players like Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling and people like Megan Rapinoe, who are using their platform to bring attention to wider issues in society. And I think that's something that I aspire to be able to do in future. Is obviously I need to better myself as a player to enable myself to have that platform, but be able to use it to make the world a better place around me. And I think those sorts of people inspire me a lot more in the present day now.
What are your 3 non-negotiable behaviours you expect from yourself but others you come into contact with?
I think, again, a classic one, but it is hard work and dedication. I think not wanting to have any regrets about anything, so just wanting to be able to look back and think I gave that my best shot, whether I was successful or failed. I think that's a big one. Probably self-reflection. I always sort of look at myself first, what I've done wrong, what I can do better, how I can grow as a player and as a person. I think being able to look at yourself and be critical and sort of nitpick things is also really important if you want to improve at anything. And then probably the last one, I pride myself on being a good person and just trying to be kind, being a good friend to people, being a good teammate, and trying to get the best out of other people around me as well.
If you could go back in time, and maybe you'd be a pupil here at Stockport Grammar School, who knows, but what advice would you give to yourself, knowing what you know now?
I think I'd probably say just set out in your head what you want to achieve, and then figure out the steps to get there, and then just be dedicated to it. And I think just be massively organised, because a lot of people have goals and hobbies outside of school, but I think it's important to be able to balance the two of them. And I was playing full-time at City whilst doing my A-levels, and I was so stressed about it all. And I remember the host family that I lived with when I came to Manchester, the mum in the family said, Esme, hard work pays off. And I thought, yeah, of course, everyone says that, blah, de blah. But I worked so hard to keep on top of my studies whilst playing football, and it really did pay off in the end. So that's just a message that I would reiterate, is what you put into something is exactly what you get out of it. So whatever you want to achieve, just work for it and you'll be able to.
Yeah, and how did you balance that, the education side of it with your A-levels and the football? Because obviously that must have been really hard to balance to get to be the best you could be at both of those, really.
Yeah, I think I probably underestimated the difficulty of it at first. And I sort of got to the last Christmas before my exams, and we had some mock exams, and I didn't do anywhere near as well as I was expected to by my teachers or I wanted to do myself. So from that moment on, I sort of set myself a revision timetable, literally from that moment until the exams, with every single thing I was going to do each day. And I stuck to it. And I think that is the biggest thing, is just setting yourself out a plan and then being disciplined to stick to it, because you'll then have the confidence going into the exam that you've done every single thing you set out to do, and you'll feel prepared. And I think that really helped, because when I walked into the exam hall, I knew that there wasn't anything off my checklist that I'd missed, so I could go in feeling confident that I knew everything I needed to know and was able to have that knowledge despite having balanced it alongside training.